Fan Show. He's a monster on a mission to talk to lots of folks. Fan Show.
Hey everybody, it's the Van Show! Woo! Hey, all right. Now, thank you for coming, and thank you for coming. We are so excited to have you. We have the one and only, the magnificent A G Ford. Say hello. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me so much.
Well, you're so welcome.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
We're super stoked to have you. You're actually our first illustrator of the fest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, yeah. Now, we brought you on the show because we like to talk to artists, and we like to get to know them. So first, we want to know where you're from.
I'm from Dallas, Texas, so right from here.
Hey, right, hometown boy. We came here to talk to you because you're an artist, so we want to hear the story. AG, how did you become an artist? Where did that story begin?
Well, honestly, it began a lot from drawing a lot of Ninja Turtles. That's what I really liked to draw when I was young. Yep.
You're a big Eastman and Laird fan.
Yeah. I mean, Donatello, I thought he was pretty cool. He was the nerdy one with the big stick.
Yeah.
That's how I used to draw all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Now, how old were you when you were doing those Ninja Turtle drawings?
Oh, I had to be between maybe 5 and 8, I would think.
Oh, yeah, so pretty young.
Yeah.
And was there anybody that looked at those and were like, hey, you got some talent, kid?
You know what? My mom and my grandma, they used to always take my drawings and they'd put them up on the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
And that made you feel pretty good?
I think so. I had a gallery pretty young.
Your first gallery show in the kitchen.
Right on the fridge.
I love it. And then, so where did it go from there?
Well, I was doing two things. I'd love to play basketball and I love to do art. And so I was doing both of those in high school. And I started to realize that I was a little bit better at art than I was at basketball. So I kind of switched what I was really interested into and started drawing a lot. And then I figured out I wasn't going to be 7 feet tall either.
So when did this go from, this is something I'm really into, to like, well, this is something I might be able to support myself with?
Well, it's interesting, probably in college. I went to college in Columbus, Ohio, Columbus College of Art and Design. And I worked on my portfolio. And for whatever reason, my art style lended itself to picture books. It was a really colorful palette. I like drawing people. And so right when I graduated college, I hit the road to New York and I would crash on my buddy's couch and I'd shop my portfolio around and I got a book deal.
And were you specifically targeting children's publishers?
Yeah, I was.
Wow. And how long did that take you? Because we talk to a lot of artists, authors, and like we hear lots of different stories, but one that we hear more than not is there was a lot of rejection before there was an acceptance.
You know, I got lucky. I did have some rejection, but I kind of got lucky early on because I graduated in 2007 and we made a book about Barack, and right before the election happened and the book came out about Barack Obama, then he won the election and that book shot way up to the New York Times bestseller list.
Ooh, all right.
I've been able to illustrate books ever since. It's pretty cool.
That's really cool. So now what kind of medium do you work in? Because there's lots of different types of children's illustration, like watercolor and acrylics, oils, whatever. Like what kind do you like to work with?
I use a lot of different things. So that's one of my things about being an illustrator is I switch styles a lot.
Oh.
So a lot of times you see my books, like this style is very different from this style. That's kind of one of my things I'm able to do. So I use watercolor, I use acrylics, I use oils, I use color pencil. I use a lot of different materials, and that keeps me kind of fresh. I get to kind of switch it up. With my latest book, it's a lot of pen and ink and colored pencil.
Oh, and so do you have a favorite though? Like you work with a lot of them, but is there one that you're always kind of falling back to?
You know what's crazy is even though I use all these different materials for my books, what I really love is to just have a regular old piece of paper and a pencil, and that's it.
Now, you brought a book with you today.
I did.
Can you tell us a little bit about this book?
It's a really cool book. It's about garbage trucks.
Well, who doesn't love garbage trucks?
How can you lose there? And one thing I knew that this would be a good book for kids is because I have 2 sons and we have a bunch of boys that live on our street that are our neighbors, and every time the garbage trucks will come out, we come out and bring our boys out to let them see, and there'd be a bunch of boys standing out looking at the garbage truck. So I was like, maybe we ought to use that somehow. And Sherry Rinker, the author, she came up with this idea, and I was like, you know what? She's got a good idea. Let's go with that.
And so is this about like garbage collectors as heroes?
So what it's about is about this neighborhood that's got a lot of trash everywhere, and they need to clean it up and make it a nice neighborhood again.
Oh, okay.
You need garbage trucks to do that.
Heck yeah! That's the relationship where you're creating something for someone you've worked with a lot versus the relationship where you're working on something with an author you've never met before, and this is the first time you're reading their stuff.
Well, the interesting thing people don't know about children's books is a lot of times the author and the illustrator don't even know each other until the book is complete.
Right.
So if you're an author and you're trying to get your book or your manuscript sold, they sell it to a publisher, and then the publisher says, well, who's going to illustrate this? And then they maybe team up and try to find someone that's going to illustrate the book. So that's kind of how it works. So we don't actually work together. Usually we'll do book events or things like that, but we usually have an editor and an art director that each of us work with collectively, and then we come out with the book together, and it comes together towards the end.
But now with somebody that you've done 10 books with, is it the same way?
Well, we do have more dinners and lunches.
Oh, okay. So there's a bit more collaboration, like during the process of building the book.
Yeah, just a little bit more. And usually the author is more so dealing with the editor, and I'll get notes and things like that. And so that's kind of how we communicate. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So when we get together, it's more of a party, me and the author.
Very nice. Now, I've got a question. In the 200 plus episodes we've done, it's something I've really never considered. But so when you get a manuscript, are the pages already designated, like that this is page 1, this is page 2, and so like that gives you an idea of like what to illustrate, or does the illustration kind of dictate what words go on page 1 or what words go on page 2?
So the writing usually always comes first. And so what I'm basically receiving, if you think of that book, think of getting it as just blank pages with writing on it. But
that writing is the writing on page 1 is always going to be the writing on page 1?
It could be, unless I really need something to move because I want some part of the illustration maybe to be bigger, or I want to focus on a character, then maybe I can say, can I please move this?
But ultimately the author kind of has the final say in that?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a collaborative process. I think sometimes things work out to kind of stay in line just so the page turns work. And so sometimes, you leave off with a ... on one page, and it might be on that page turn, it might be something really interesting on the following page. So to move something like that is a little bit heavier than to moving one sentence from the left page to the recto page or whatever like that. So it just depends on what the change is, but it's creativity, right?
Yeah.
So it's always open to be able to move and to navigate things where they're advantageous for the storytelling.
Well, and ultimately, I think it helps to be more creative if you have some guide rails. If like, instead of being like, well, do whatever you want, they're like, okay, no, you specifically, this needs to happen on this page, like, and so you can do it however you want, but it has to land here. I think those guide rails actually make you more creative because it makes you have to think out, like, around some kind of obstacle that's been put before you.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been great, AG. Now, AG, would you be up for a challenge?
Yeah, I'm always down for a challenge.
Oh, I like this. I like this attitude. Now, we brought there's a paper and pen in front of you. Now, I would like to challenge you, and I hope you're okay with this. I feel like you're an illustrator, so this is your job. I'm not asking you to work for free necessarily, but maybe for 30 seconds, maybe do me the favor. All right. Could you maybe do a portrait of me, but can you use your non-dominant hand to do it?
This is difficult.
Yes, exactly, and that's kind of the challenge. We want to see what you can do with the hand that you use the least.
Okay, good. I think you're just preparing me. If I ever break this arm, still got to keep working, right?
That's right.
All right. Let's see what we can do.
All right, AG, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a blast.
This was awesome. Thank you so much for having me on the Van Show.
Yeah.
I appreciate it so much.
Cool. And hold on. Oh. Now, before you go, do you have anything you're working on right now that you could give us a little sneak peek of?
Can I? Yeah. So we're working on some more construction site books. We got a dad-themed book.
Ooh.
It's coming out. It's cool. And then we also have one that's really focused on firefighting trucks. It's pretty awesome.
You're in your truck years.
Yes, I'm in my truck years, and I'm working on that book with my right hand, so no worries.
AG, thanks so much for coming on the show. Bye.
That's your